August 24th meeting, 2023. Good afternoon. We'll start with introductions of the day.
Chrissy Rischel, Assistant Clerk.
Leslie Hervey, Clerk to the Board.
Stephanie Summerall, Dumas Commissioner.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good afternoon. I'm County Commissioner Denise Driehaus.
Jeff Aludo, County Administrator. Michael Friedman, Legal Counsel.
And I'm Hamilton County Commissioner Board President Alicia Reese. Okay, we start each meeting with prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'll ask everyone to take a moment of silence. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous session.
Second?
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Driehaus.
Yes?
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have public comments. Is anyone on Zoom?
See.
No one. Okay. So we'll start with Derek Mays, and you have the floor for 2 minutes.
Good morning. Is it mic on? Is it?
Should be on, yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm here from the National Appraisal Bias Task Force, and we're going to provide a report to the commissioners probably on a weekly or monthly basis on the status of appraisal bias in Hamilton County. There currently is approximately 3 cases pending with HUD in relationship to appraisal bias. So we want to be an information source to the community and to Hamilton County. We were asked to have a meeting, and we had a conversation with the port in relationship to homeownership, blight, and how to help figure out a way to get people in homeownership, specifically to the care properties. And we were informed about the number of properties that they had available and the condition. I've been an appraiser for 35 years. I've appraised many thousands of properties here in Hamilton County, and we believe that one of the issues, relationships to helping people get in home ownership, is valuation. And because of that, we're going to provide the commissioners with some information on some funding that's coming out through the federal government through the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Act. And this money can be used for restoration, solar panels, windows, anything that's going to reduce greenhouse gas. We again had a conversation with the port. We hope that it will continue, but we wanted to be upfront and at least let the county commissioners know that we're in this conversation trying to solve some problems as it relates to appraisal bias. Can I hand this to you all or somebody?
You can hand it to the clerk, and she'll get copies to each of us.
In those 35 years, we appraised property. Is that it?
Yeah, 2 minutes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You can come back and we can have that conversation.
Okay.
I would ask Mr. Ludo, I think you came before and we were trying to get someone to connect with you, but I think it's can we make sure that happens? Absolutely. Okay, we'll make sure that happens. Thank you. Thank you for all your work. Really appreciate it. Don, I hope this is Don. Don Ross? Is it Don? Okay. You have the floor for 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Don Ross. I'm also part of the Appraisal Bias Task Force. And what we would like to help the county with is to help bring back some of these properties that are vacant, because right now these properties are not producing tax revenues. And as you know, theoretically, you want all properties to produce revenue because it also helps the county. We can assist with that and bringing those properties back on. Really what needs to happen is those assets need to be valued based on some type of, I don't want to call it a formula, but the bottom line is they're buying these properties and fixing them up. The question is, how much are the properties worth once they're fixed up? Is it even worth doing? Because if it needs too much work, it's not worth fixing it. So how are they making those decisions? Well, we would like to help with that and making those decisions, because again, the more properties you can get back online, the more taxes that you can collect from those properties. So that's about all I have, but thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, and also want to make sure you're connected with our auditor's office, Bridget Kelly. Mr. Aludo, is it possible for Holly or someone to get their phone number? I don't know if you don't have it, so that someone will be in touch with you regarding it and get more information to us. Stephen Schmidt.
Good afternoon, Madam President, Commissioners, and all. I'm here today on what's item 28 on the agenda. I represent Fabcorp, Inc., doing business as Jails. This is on cell door lock replacements. Fabcorp bid on the contract, submitted a base bid of $3.845 million, almost $400,000 less than the next highest bid. Here today in opposition to the resolution to accept the contract with Cornerstone, which is a non-Ohio company. Fabcorp is an Ohio company. The two issues that I want to address specifically are the 60-day award rule. The contract was not executed and issued within 60 days of the bid going out, as it's required under the Ohio Revised Code. Secondly, the issue with the bid bond. The county has the discretion to accept the Fabcorp bid, even though there was an issue with the bid bond form. The bond form was the wrong form submitted. That was alerted to Fabcorp, who immediately corrected that. That is not a substantial issue as it relates to the bidding process. It does not prejudice anybody. The correct form was then submitted. A bid $400,000 less that saves the taxpayers substantial funds should not be rejected due to a technicality with a form that was then corrected. Ohio law does not contemplate bids being rejected due to minor technicalities, however substantial variations. This is not one of those, so Fabcorp would ask that this either be rebid or that Fabcorp's bid be considered to save the taxpayers over $400,000. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Mr. Aludo, we don't get into the RFPs or write the RFPs, or we're not even on the selection committees as commissioners. That's not our role, so I'll just ask Mr. Aludo if you'd like to address this.
Only to say, Madam President, Commissioners, that the issues that have been raised are issues that we have discussed with the Office of Purchasing, as well as with the County Prosecutor's Office. The administration is still fine with recommending advancing the resolution today after that consultation.
Madam Commissioner.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to ask the validity of what was said at just now, the 2 minutes that was given in regards to the 60 days and the savings of $400,000. Is that validity? Mainly, my concern is the 60-day window.
Yes, Commissioner, my understanding is that that typically in cases where we have a window of time that the procuring department will work with the vendors to ensure that that vendor is willing to hold the pricing, and assuming that there is the willingness to hold that pricing, that there is still the ability to proceed with that agreement.
So it was significant enough that to save $400,000, we were not able to do that, or I mean that's significant, $400,000.
Yes, no. So two separate issues. One is the holding of the pricing. The separate issue is the validity of the bid bond.
Right.
For that purpose, or that was the rationale for the rejection of that and that's what we had worked with the prosecutors on in terms of the rejection of the bid based upon the bid bond that was submitted.
Okay.
The bid bond forms, right?
Thank you.
Did that answer all your
Yes,
questions?
it did.
Vice President Diaz, do you have any questions? No. Okay, all right. Thank you for that. Those were the last speakers that we have. We will now go into comments and motions. We'll start with Vice President Dreehouse.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a couple of things. It's been a these 2-week hiatus. It give us the opportunity to do more than usual because we only meet every other week. So I'm only going to list off a few of them, but it's been a busy time for Hamilton County out and about. The first item I have is to mention that the Education Secretary Cardona came in from Washington, D.C., and was talking about community learning centers and visited Euler School, which is the epitome of how you do a community learning center well in a community, engage folks in that community and graduate students and have them go on to high school and then eventually on to college. He was highly impressed with the school itself. Greg Landsman, our congressman, organized the visit, and there were many others there, experts. One student was there, the most significant expert, and she commented on what it meant to have access to eyeglasses and dental care in the facility in Euler School. So I was happy to attend that. Also attended a roundtable with Keith Faber, who is our state auditor. He came in, and this is the first time I believe that he's done kind of a check-in with the county commissioners and all elected officials in Hamilton County. So we had a pretty robust conversation about what his office offers and how we are doing in general in Hamilton County. So I thank him for reaching out and setting up that meeting. I also attended yesterday an event called Seniors Who Rock, who was, it was held by Pro Seniors, but they honored Polly Doran, who I think all of us know. She was with COA for many years and brought many of us into people's homes so we could better understand the necessity to have people age in place and our role in providing resources to allow that to happen, primarily through the senior services levy. So I was happy once again to honor Polly Doran on behalf of the county. And then today we had, I had 2 events. The Cincinnati State Presser, these were ARPA dollars that we allocated a little while back, and when we were going through that discussion about ARPA dollars and how we could best impact the community in a strategic way, we identified 2 career paths that really needed an injection of resource so that we can push those careers forward in Hamilton County to the benefit of all, those careers being childcare and nursing. And so Cincinnati State was the winner of a competitive process. 1.5 was allocated to Cincinnati State so they can expand their nursing program all the way from nursing aides through RN, through a bachelor's degree in nursing. So because we know we've got a shortage in this community, it's not unique to Hamilton County, but we really do need to address the issue of nursing shortages here in the county to keep the community safe. And I think that was exposed during COVID, and so we're trying to respond to what we know we need in the community. And then lastly, I just attended the SOAR graduation over at the Urban League. These were graduates who there were 2 sets. One was graduates from the HVAC program. The other graduates were from a more generalized program that the Urban League hosts to give individuals and especially young people soft skills so that they can go advocate for themselves when they're applying for jobs and they have the skill set to do that. So congratulations to all those graduates, and congratulations to the Urban League for standing up that program. Spectrum also had a part to play there and gave them some resources for the digital literacy piece of that program. So happy to represent the county at the graduation. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few things. The Commission on Women and Girls ceremony, we haven't had a chance to say anything about that. So that's your thing.
I know,
yeah.
I know.
So we celebrated during the evening meeting in Sharonville. Just a couple other things. The White House Intergovernmental Affairs weekly call, I participated in that. I also participated, as was said earlier, in the state auditor's visit. It was extremely interesting, I should say. I did not make the press conference today for the nursing education, the $1.5 million that we approved, but I am fully in support of continued and additional education for our nurses. Would also like to say there are a lot of environmental events that are going on in this world, in our county, nationally, that has impacted so many people and led to many tragedies. So I say a prayer for all of them. One specific, of course, is in Maui, Hawaii. Now, I just wanted to talk about one thing that's really on my heart when I read the article from Bridget and Amanda as it relates to the food lines. And so we all need a place to lay our head. We all need our basic needs, our housing and something to eat. And our attitude, our ability to help people on a long term, this actually, not having food, it impacts your attitude, it impacts your health on a long term, and also for children, the ability to learn. So this will take a minute, but it's important enough. I want us to savor the fact that the article said the food bank on Liberty Street has 940 more families per month since February. And February is when the government decided they were going to cut the SNAP benefits. A family of 3 would have $180 a month in SNAP benefits. But that same family during COVID was getting $740 for the past 3 years. So it's impacted over 52,000 families, and we knew. The board knew that this would happen. That's why we gave additional money to the food bank. And the seniors that are getting, that are on a fixed income, they were getting $281 per month under the COVID rules. Now they are back to $23 a month. The U.S. Department of Labor says in general there's a 3.6% price in food. We know now, this was in June, we know now that food has gone up even more than that. We continue to give monies to the free store, but the free store cannot be our savior. They cannot do it all. And so I go through that area going home and to see the lines, and it's very disheartening. So it's great that we recognize the issue and the problem, but at some point we need to look at a different strategy. Is there any churches or agencies down in the downtown area that can cut that line in half where people don't have to stand? You think about not having food and having to stand all the time with no energy and no stamina. So I'm asking administration to look at a different strategy because the free store can't do it all. And as we look at our budget and where we want to allocate more money, it may be for that purpose. We need to better advertise also, because as I looked at partners that are providing food pantries, there are quite a bit of them, but I'm sure there's some churches or agencies in this area that could help out and cut those lines down. So, on to brighter things. In January, I initiated 3 initiatives. BY, Beyond Your Imagination, and the board supported me on all 3. We continue to get community partners to help out Beyond Your Imagination for foster children to be able to go to different places and experience cultural events they've never experienced before. They went to the Taylor Swift, her concert, and we know that. I'm thinking this is very, I'm thinking about our babies, our youth, and what we're doing for them, and we need to do so much more because as we know, the violence has not stopped. FC, I would like to thank them. They just gave tickets for this fabulous game that happened last night, so we thank them, and many others have helped us. The small event grants, we were able to help 17 communities outside of Cincinnati to just to undergird their budget and to help them enhance their budget from the pandemic, and the events were awesome. We were able to help 17 groups. So on to even bigger and better and brighter things, I want to bring up Inspire, which was the 3rd initiative. And Inspire is just that. Inspire is to bring hope to children and to mentors, the ones that are working with children, so they don't lose hope that this is all in vain. And so we decided, the board approved $5,000 for groups in the community. It could be theater groups, it could be boxing teams, it could be cheerleaders, to help them to continue to be active in the community, because as we know, community activities drastically improve the health and welfare of our community, and it also decreases violence. There's a resolution. Unfortunately, we've been trying to schedule a press conference to bring this out to the public. We haven't been able to do it for lots of reasons. We have really busy schedules. But there's a resolution, hopefully, that the commissioners have already received. If not, I have a copy here. But the resolution specifically says to promote physical, mental, and social health with youth in low and moderate income neighborhoods in Hamilton County. And as I was saying, the request is we've already allocated $250,000 from the American Rescue Plan to help 50 groups. But now we had to stop our applications because there were so many that wanted to be a part of it. More than 132 requests for assistance were received. And as I said, we're starting already to give out the first 50. We had to cut it off. And so now this resolution that I'm hoping will come forward to the board, our first meeting in September, is another request for a second round. We're funding $275,000 to serve an additional 50 organizations on the list. And so we have more and more and more. And also, we really need a third round totaling another $275,000 in funding to serve 50 more organizations. So when we think about the grand scheme of things, we're thinking about our youth, keeping them out of trouble. We started the employment job and youth employment office. We did all of that, but those young people, especially with school starting, they love staying active. They love working with their peers, and it keeps them busy. They go to sleep instead of being out on the street. And so this Inspire program is something that we need to continue to fund, and I will be adding this on the budget coming up when we discuss our budget. But I just wanted to ask my commissioners if you can take a look at the resolution, and I would like to have it on our first meeting in September. Also, as it relates to Inspire, I would like to ask Robert Bell and Alice Bledsoe to come up. Since we haven't had a press conference, we're going to do it this way. And they can, Robert can introduce who Alice is. And
I got a question before that starts. Is this the presentation? Because I know each Thursday we done had presentations outside of our Tuesday meetings when we normally have presentations. Is this the same presentation or is this a different one?
well, you can.
Okay.
Let me answer the question. Okay. No, this is not the same presentation. This is part of my comments. Normally, my comments are extremely short, but today they're a little longer. And since we have not been able to have a press conference, I wanted the public to know that you've put in applications, we're sending out money, and there's more money to come. So this specific information is the groups that have been, not all the groups, we can't go through 50, some of the groups that have been allocated the money, and also the demographics of where those groups are.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm just saying, I know when I was not the president, I was told we had to have these type of presentations on our Tuesday schedule, which is usually scheduled by the president's office, not chair of the board, but president's office. So I don't want to get into a habit that we're making reports every Thursday meeting. I'm fine with it today, but that's what I was told when I was not the president of the board. So I wanted to just make sure if we're making a presentation, but if you're just making comments, I have no problem with that. We can move forward, but this has been the second time this has happened, and I just want to make sure, now that I'm the president, not the chair of the board, that we're using the same standards that we had in the past. Because I would love for y'all to come and do a PowerPoint presentation and be able to take up even more time, because I think they are very good projects. So go ahead and proceed.
And these are comments, and we've tried 3 times to have a press conference, and so we're going into September, and so I want the public to know that we have not forgotten about them. So this is part of my comments, so proceed.
So good afternoon, I'm Alice Bledsoe. I'm the program coordinator for Inspire. And I'm Robert Bell, Director of Economic Inclusion and Equity for Hamilton County.
So Inspire is up and running. We have many organizations that have begun to receive funding, and they are excited. There are youth all over the city, all over the county that are just excited because they've started getting their items. We have Millvale Community Center who's getting their boxing gloves and helmets and equipment, and Evanston Bulldogs. I mean, it's all over the city. West End Little Senators, Woodward, they have their band instruments. We have the Girls Club. We have some churches, Providence Baptist Church, different organizations that are benefiting from this program. And actually, they want you all to know that they are just really grateful. That's what I would especially like to express. They are grateful, and they have pointed out how important it's been for them and for their youth.
Awesome.
Thank you, thank you. And just, if you can do the map, just to let the community know that we have a website for Inspire, for Youth Initiative, and you can go to the website and view where the services are being, supported at on this map, and you can click on the dots, and it'll come up with the site, the name of the organization, and we're going to use that as a measuring tool and reporting tool from now on. So just go to the Inspire website, go to the map, and you can see where we're doing it all over Hamilton County as well. And then the last thing I just want to do is show you a little response from a couple of the organizations that have, received your help.
We utilize the fund by purchasing instruments. We actually now have some more mellophones, and some more trombones, some more trumpets.
We're turning it up. That's the Cheviot Police Association. That's one of their many soccer teams.
Okay.
We utilize the fund by purchasing instruments. We actually now have some more mellophones, and some more trombones, some more trumpets.
Hand wraps, gauze, tape, boxing gloves, headgear, protective equipment. The Inspire grant has provided those things for us.
We needed funds for the children to go on outings, to buy uniforms. It's helped a lot. It really has. It took a burden off.
Our main objective is to get them into college so they can be able to have a full ride scholarship.
Keeping them out of trouble, have them work on things like discipline, self-control that go far beyond just boxing in itself. And this just gives them an option to have role models in the center, people to look up to, people they can rely on.
One, to keep the children out of the streets, to give them a safe place to play a sport and have fun while doing it.
And to know that it's just not us, but it's the community that's helping raise the kids. Thank you so much.
We really appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts.
Awesome.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, and thank your staff that's working on it. And that's what I'm here for, is the youth. And so we'll just leave it at that. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. That's all I have.
Awesome. Couple of things from myself in terms of some things that have happened. One, I want to congratulate Metro, 50 years. They had their anniversary, and I was able to present a proclamation, and they had a great celebration on Fountain Square this past week? I can't remember. But they just had their 50th anniversary. So we're very excited as they are celebrating the transformation of Metro. And so I want to give a shout out to Daryl Haley and his great team. And also Second Wind did a great job. So it was awesome celebration. Myself and Commissioner Driehaus, we went and toured the Finley Market Garage Artworks mural, and got a chance to see the apprenticeship part of the program, and a lot of young ladies who are getting that done, and we're happy about that. That project, I think it was, the mural project was about $190,000+ in terms of that project. And then we also support Artworks apprenticeship program, with the $224,000 resilience grants. We've given over $4 million to youth programs through our ARPA money. A lot of youth programs, more than any time in history for Hamilton County, and there are lots of programs for youth that are out there, camps, et cetera, that we've been able to support. So very excited about that. Also had a meeting with our new auditor, Bridget Kelly, and trying to understand the values that will be coming out. I've asked her to come before one of the Tuesday meetings to kind of help explain what it is and what's available to help people. You have some areas, it was pretty interesting. Evanston, I think, went about 72%. And you start to look at some of these areas, and I think it's important for us to understand it. It is mandated by state law. So people contact your state legislators up there because it's a state law thing. And how it's done, and then what does that actually mean for the average homeowner. So I'm inviting her to come to one of our meetings to be able to have a presentation breaking that down so that people have an understanding. And then where do they go? If you feel that it's an error, where do you go? And so who is the Board of Revision and how does that work? A lot of people don't understand that as well. So I invited her to come to one of our Tuesday meetings. We're working out scheduling now. Also, I'm on the OKI board, and I guess that puts me on this outreach committee that for ODOT, for the bridge. And something's caught my throat. And they had 2 meetings this week. I was able to make the one dealing with, dealing with diversity and inclusion. And I expressed again that the county, we are not at the table. We're at the table as an advisory, but not at the table to have any real meat on the bone. The administrator has appealed the decision of the Department of Transportation. See if we can get on there. But it was very interesting that the percentage goal is 9%, and that includes Kentucky and Ohio. So they could be in Kentucky and get 8% and only 1% over here. Robert Bell, who is over inclusion and equity, was also at that meeting and at the advisory. There were a couple of things I thought was interesting because I know that you had RSVP'd and we were talking about a partnership, but we get there, Hamilton County is not even, they come in and say, handwrite your own stuff. So that already, to me, gave us onto the wrong track because Hamilton County, I know you RSVP'd to be there, and we're not even on the list. So we've got to change the mentality if we're going to go in here and really be a partner. The other thing that we noted is that I don't want it to be where they're encouraging everyone to get certified with DBE, but you may not have services that would be for this bridge. This is not a certification exercise where they could say we upped our DBEs, but nobody got a contract. So we were very clear, I think, in the meeting. We wanted to get a list of who is already certified as a DBE in Hamilton County. They wanted to refer us to 3 different websites. Well, we said the first thing we want is to get us a list of how many companies in Hamilton County are already registered and what are they registered for, because there may not be a need to do a massive certification. Now, they did give us credit about our small business day that we put together and interest in replicating something similar. However, I was very clear that our small business day, which I was heavily involved in saying that we do not want it to be a leaflet fair. And the reason it was successful is that we had $4 million in grants that you could apply for right there. We had very real one-on-ones with contractors who were really looking to do business with someone. And people walked out of there with a real opportunity. Many will be getting grants, will be getting help. Mr. Greg Forte, our small business director of our new office, has reported that over 500 businesses have already been assisted in some kind of way through that office. So we definitely want real results. I indicated that I'm not interested in promoting and walking in barbershops and beauty shops talking about jobs in 2025, 2026, when Duke Energy needs your bill paid this month, your water bill paid this month. And so it's just not the right time to just walk around and say, hey, in 4 years or in 3 years, you can have a job. People need jobs today. So we've got some work to do, and we expressed that, and Mr. Bell will be our representative. Eric Beck was also at the meeting on Monday and was speaking up as well as the engineer's office on the project as well. But I wanted people to know, don't come running down here. We don't have any authority. But we will try to stand up and be a voice. And we have through a resolution that all three of us have passed about a month and a half ago. In addition to that, had a great meeting about the 513 Relief Bus mobile team. Excited about it. Anecdotally, we've got numbers, about 10,000 people since this operation has started has been able to be helped. And I can't go anywhere without someone saying, man, that bus. The bus actually won an award. I don't think we've done enough to talk about that. We won a NACO award for this, and nowhere in the country has it like this. So we're very excited about the work and some upcoming things that will be rolled out with our bus and helping even more people and more partnerships. Hopefully dental will be coming pretty soon. I was also excited to host. We've got a steady flow of people coming into the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. It's free. It's open 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. with a special light show at 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. And I was happy to host our first national conference that went to the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame, the Literacy Lab Tour. 135 young African-American men from a fellowship, national fellowship program, toured the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame, and I was excited to be down there. They had so many great questions, and they were so engaged, and they came from everywhere: Atlanta, Washington, D.C., Michigan, Baltimore. We have a new chapter in Cincinnati with 30 students that just started here, but they came from all over, I think California, and they were very, very, very excited. So I was excited as they were putting together. They're very quick with social media. I'm like, goodness, I'm trying to download, and they're like, it's up, it's out, it's like. So it was just great to see them. We will be hosting another group coming in statewide that contacted us that's coming to get a tour as well. So we're excited about that in partnership with the Cincinnati Reds. So we're excited about that. And there will be some other days that are coming soon. The Lincoln Ware Walking Club will be doing September the 16th, and they will be walking and being a part of that as well. So we're very excited about it. In addition, I was also with Cincinnati State announcement today, which I thought was huge because when we got the money from the federal government, and we thank the federal government, the Biden administration, and they give it to counties, many counties could not get their money out. Many of them have sent money back. We were in Washington, and folks were struggling. And they don't have a 513 relief bus. They don't have the innovative things that we've been able to do. And it's one thing Washington released the money, it's something else when it can get to your house and help you on the ground. And that is our job. And so we have a nursing crisis, as was indicated earlier, throughout the country and throughout our city and our state. Last week, as you know, we meet every other week. I spent my week in the hospitals I was visiting different folks in the hospital. I was there at nighttime and I saw a nurse. I said, man, you was here in the morning and you still here at night? And they said, we got a shortage. And I got a chance to talk with them. I was with another young man who had emergency spinal cord surgery, and he's in rehab, and the nurse, he was kind of getting down, and the nurse came and, you can do it. And they said he may never walk again. I'm happy to know that he is walking and taking steps. But that's because the nurse was keeping that positive attitude. And then I've been at the doctor, and I saw a nurse, and she said, I can't even take off, and my leg hurt, because if I do, then all these appointments would have to be canceled. So it is a crisis, and I think it was a bold move to partner with Cincinnati State. They came and testified, and we came back with $1.5 million. And as I indicated at Cincinnati State, where I was happy to serve as the graduation commencement speaker this year, the thing about Cincinnati State is that they're able to move quickly and get people trained and retrained and get them into the marketplace. And so I told them that America and Ohio and Hamilton County, we have a problem, workforce problem, and that the graduates of Cincinnati State, they're the answers. So I'm glad we invested this $1.5 million, and the nurses were staff was so excited about that. So a shout out again with President Posey over at Cincinnati State. My last thing that I have, Mr. Ludo, is that I met with the executive director, CEO of the Sharonville Convention Center. We've had a number of things. We got an expansion that's getting ready to come up. We've had the bus out there. We've done our small business out there. But Jim Dalton has been in the business a long time. And he and I have been knowing each other for years. And he and the mayor, Kevin Hardman, who has been very vocal, has had some very, I think, relevant concerns about the new funding model that will also affect them as we talk about an expansion of Convention Center. And I know each of us are supposed to have a meeting. Others may have already had it. I have not, with 3CDC and some of the others about the funding model. But I was concerned that when they first came, the Convention and Visitors Bureau said, we're going to get rid of the Convention and Visitors Bureau in the north. We had one in the north. Blue Ash had something going on, and it became like we're doing now. It's a better way to do it. We were expanding our convention center in Cincinnati. I was the vice mayor at the time. It's a better way to do it. The north, we're gonna close it down. We're gonna consolidate, but you'll still be represented. And what he has shown me is that they have never been represented. The $800,000 was absorbed into the Convention Visitors Bureau, but they never got the representation in Blue Ash and in Sharonville. And back in the day, they were a lot more vocal because the hotels were more powerful because they were the ones on the boards. But now I'm understanding a lot of the people that's in the business, they're ex officio members, like Sharonville, ex officio, can't vote for nothing. Cincinnati Convention Center, ex officio, can't vote for nothing. And some of the people that's got the real knowledge and background are kind of being thrown out. And he was concerned about the future and having representation. So I'm gonna have the clerk pass this out. They had a memorandum of understanding, and at that time, Hartman was the president of the board. That's how far back it's going. And it was signed and saying that, and Dan Lincoln was the CEO, and rest his soul, he has now passed away. But it had on here the things that we're going to have: room night goals, sales and marketing plan, so you could really get an update on what did the North do, and what did the central part of Cincinnati do, and what did Blue Ash do. And my understanding from him is that the 40% of the room nights is coming from Sharonville. But when you look at our model that we're proposing, Sharonville would be kind of wiped out in the future. And he is, I advised him to meet with all the commissioners because we can't talk to each other. That's why I'm talking about it now. But they have not corrected this. And he sent an email, maybe you have answered it by now, but he sent an email to Julie Calvert, who is over our convention, Visit Cincinnati, and copied you on it, and nobody responded. Now, people keep telling me, oh, Sharonsville's in. They're okay with it. But I understand the mayor of Sharonville is not okay with it. Hartman, I understand, is not okay. I'm getting calls now from Dowling. He says that they've been left behind, and he told me that it seems like all decisions are being made behind the curtains, and by the time it gets to people, it's a rubber stamp. And I said, wow, this sounds familiar, because that's what it looks like. It's become a rubber stamp. You ain't got but 48 hours to make a decision. And so he said the same thing with the CFA that the mayor was saying. The CFA gets it on the same day that you want them to vote on it. So I'm asking you, Mr. Ludo, to look into this and get this back to all of us, because I think it's wrong if the Convention Center CEO sends something to the Convention and Visitors Bureau and then copies you about this funding model and nobody responds. And I do believe that if you had an MOU that we signed on behalf of Hamilton County, this thing needs to have it needs to be honored, or we need to know about it. But this has been signed, Hamilton County Commission Board. And it said it was supposed to do these things, and he said none of these things have been done, and he feels that they've been just walked over. He said when they come out there, they just walk over. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I think it needs to be brought up. So I wanted to share that with you, and in your comments, you can address it, or you could get us something, and I will have the clerk provide copies for each of everybody so they can have the same information that I have. But he said they came in with, and he said when he asked questions, it almost sounded like me. When he asked questions, they got really upset. How dare you ask me a question? I said, wow, it sounds familiar. But this type of behavior, we can't have it. I forgot to also say the Black Family Reunion was this weekend. I attended that, and it was great. And I want to thank everybody, Tracy Artist and everybody else who did the planning on it. It was a great event. And shout out to everyone who received Family of the Year. Eddie Hawkins family was Family of the Year. And I want to give a shout out to my father. He got the Lifetime Achievement Award. So Dr. Stephen Reese, I want to give a shout out. The gun range we talked about the funding, and I think we'll have more about that coming up. FC Cincinnati, I stayed up, boy. That was a game. Ooh, that was a game. We liked all the people that came and all the star power that was in town. And I'm just telling you, FC played, boy, that was something. Down to the wire. We came up short, but I want to just give a congratulations to FC, because these guys, they really was playing. They were playing. This was a game, and the whole world was watching. So wanted to shout that out. And then also, Mr. Ludo, in your comments, if you can also talk about, I don't know, there was an RFP put out about moving county services. And I want to be clear. I wasn't in favor of it. I might have been outnumbered behind the scenes. We've never talked about it publicly. I have some concerns of making Bond Hill the headquarters of social services, because we already have, and I've been living in that community for many, many years, and a lot of residents are concerned about that when we talk about property values and those kind of things as well. Mercy Health, I was very involved trying to get Mercy Health to put their headquarters there, and they had a lot of big plans. And then they got merged, and I'm disappointed because they made a lot of promises to the community, a lot of them. And a lot of the community don't know that they're not even really in there that much. They didn't know that the building was available. They didn't know the building was vacant. They didn't know they had left. And I didn't know how we go from owners. We just talked about ownership. We own the building downtown, and now we're going to go into a rental situation to help them out with a commitment that they made, because I was there when they were making the commitments, to the community. And a lot of people, community, have asked about it. Pastor KZ Smith, who church, he was part of the deal because that was his land, and they purchased the land. He got his church there. He said he don't know nothing about it and wanted to know about it. And I just feel like we should be out in the open on this. Now, I'm concerned. I don't want to have one of those things where we move our building and then here come 3CDC with now condos in the Jobs and Family Services building, because that's what I heard was going to happen. I had raised the same thing about Saks Fifth Avenue. Go back and look at the tape. When we were talking about Convention Center expansion, I said, I need to know the whole plan. What are y'all going to do with Saks? Oh, no, we're not a part of that. Now they're getting Saks for $1. I'm sure there's a lot of people who could develop Saks for $1. So I want to make sure we're not caught. That's the city. So I can always say I ain't got nothing to do with it. But now we at the county, I don't want to have that kind of deal where they're pushing us out. Yeah, it looks nice and it's luxurious and free parking and right off the highway, but it's down the street from the Hamilton County Community Action Agency that does the same things. We just talked about reappraisal biasness. So when you bring certain things in, the property value goes down. And Bond Hill is one of the top Black home ownership communities. So I don't know what's going on behind the curtain, but I'm gonna put it in front of the curtain. I was not in favor of us looking to run out here to this building to save a company who made a promise to the community and now is leaving. And then here we come running in. And then our building just happens to be at a prime location down here where we can have these condos and $1 million condos and giving our property away for $1. I'm not saying we are, but I asked the question about Saks and everybody thought I was crazy. And now you're reading in the paper, Saks is going for $1 to 3CDC. So, and it just so happened across the street from Jobs and Family Services, some new condos that's gone up. And now the timing just seems suspect. Now we gonna run out here to Bond Hill and ain't even talk to Bond Hill about moving. Now they're gonna say we're not choosing that yet, but I don't want the cards stacked against us. So I wanted to say that. I wanted to, because I got some people calling me about it. The Restaurant Association is upset about it. And I'm with them on some stuff. How do we give money to the Restaurant Association to keep you open, and then we take out hundreds of jobs and run out to a place where there is no restaurants? So I wanted to put that on the table, Mr. Ludo. This is not secret. I've told him about it, but I think the people need to know because I'm starting to get phone calls. I was not in favor. Maybe I was outnumbered, but I'm not in favor of it. And I don't think it smells right at this time. So those are my comments for today. I will turn it over to Mr. Ludo for your comments or any presentations.
Thank you, Commissioners. No presentations, just a couple of by-leave comments and then one by-leave item. I will just very briefly address the comments. There's not a whole lot I can say about the comments, Commissioner Reese. On the RFP that we have out, again, you're correct, there's not a whole lot I can say right now. We're in the middle of an RFP evaluation process. We will evaluate the RFPs and provide a recommendation ultimately back to the board. And ultimately, it's the board's policy decision as to whether we do anything. Ultimately, first steeped in whether or not the administration ultimately recommends anything based upon the responses that we've received. I will say, just as an aside, that I was a bit concerned by, there was an article in the Business Courier. You mentioned the Restaurant Association. We did respond immediately to the contact that was listed in the Courier as it relates to the impact on the restaurant community. That contact preferred that we speak to someone in Columbus. So we reached out to Columbus, had a very nice conversation with the gentleman at the Restaurant Association in Columbus. I just want to make sure the board knows that when we did hear that response, we did reach out immediately just to talk with them about what their concerns were.
Before you do that, can you tell us what's the process of an RFP? Is this something you just decided, or was it a majority? Because we don't get to talk to each other unless we're here. I know I wasn't for it, but how do you do that? Do you just go do RFPs and then get back to us?
Yes.
Or did someone ask you to do an RFP?
No, so we wouldn't take direction from an individual commissioner asking for that. So for the public watching, we have historically over the past decade or so routinely looked at options for facilities and the best way to manage our facilities and the most cost-effective way to manage our facilities. To your point, Commissioner, and I would agree with you on this, we traditionally don't look at leased environments for our publicly owned or public operations. That being said, we're in a very different office market at this point in time, and so as we look at in a very tight office environment from a county perspective, wanting to look at whether or not there are better ways, better facilities out there that would offer better service both to the public and better amenities for our employees. Are there options out there that would be cost effective for the county to invest in? So we've looked at that in the past. Going back almost a decade or so ago, we looked at moving the entire county campus out to the old Mount Airy Hospital. Ultimately wound up not doing it after a lot of evaluation, but we did look at it. So in this particular case, the administration put out an RFP just to test the waters on this to see what was there. We'll now evaluate the responses. If we think there's something there that merits consideration by the board, we'll bring it to the board. It could be that we decide that there's not anything there that merits consideration by the board, in which case it wouldn't move any further.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of the
process.
history.
Yep.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
In terms of the CVB, I'm happy to follow up on the MOU. I do recall that MOU from the past. I'm happy to follow up on and happy to follow up with the CVB. I think there's two issues there. There's the service level of the CVB as it relates to the northern communities. I'm happy to work to facilitate a conversation there to see how the CVB is working to accommodate the promises, for lack of a better word, that were made in that MOU. I'm happy to do that. The other issue is on the funding model. I can say I was in very direct meetings with folks from the northern communities, with 3CDC, with the administration on the issues of the funding model for the convention district. Very robust discussions. I would not classify them as rubber stamp discussions at all. There was a very strong back and forth. In fact, we had a representative from the General Assembly who was kind of watching over that because he was very much interested in the concerns of the northern communities and wondering whether there was any action that needed to be taken to the General Assembly based upon the results of that. At the end of those discussions, it appeared that everyone was in alignment on what that funding model would be, and the rep from the General Assembly indicated, okay, as long as that's the case, then you guys proceed with what you're doing. So I'm happy to go back, though, and follow up on all those discussions, just to make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed on that. So
I appreciate that, because we usually have these meetings and then I get a call or an email from the mayor of Sharonville and say, oh, no, that's not true. So I'm just trying to get down to it.
yep, happy to follow up with you on kind of how that wrapped up.
Thank you.
A couple of other items, some good news things that I just wanted to make sure the board was aware of. First and foremost, was upstairs in our onboarding sessions today, onboarded 5 new 911 call takers, so that's fantastic. Welcomed them to the team. Interestingly enough, all of them, I believe, came from some background or connection to the public safety world. So there were some former EMTs, there were folks that worked security and other operations. So all that to say, if folks are watching at home and you may be interested in a career change and you're you don't have to be in the public safety field, but if you are, even a better connection. But even more to the point, if you're doing anything related to customer service, I know Andy Knapp, the director of the 911 center, would say anyone in the customer service field, we want to talk to you. We want you here. So I just want to welcome those new 911 operators. Also, we have an item on the agenda today related to a household hazardous waste contract through Environmental Services. Not on that contract, but I do just want to congratulate Environmental Services. They had recently worked with the city of Reading to increase their recycling rate from 4.6% to 14.9%. So just wanted to congratulate the folks out at Solid Waste District for a job well done. Also on the agenda today, we've got, and I don't know how much discussion we're going to have on each of these items, so I just wanted to highlight them in advance. But we've got an item where we're going to be at least recommending to the board for asking for the authority to submit a Phase 2A plan to the federal regulators related to the MSD consent decree. And I just wanted to thank and congratulate the staff from MSD and from the county who worked very collaboratively on this process, and just thank them for a job well done on that submittal. And finally, although I don't know that he's here, I don't have the pillar. But I know Morgan is here. We have the hazard mitigation plan that the board is approving today, and the board is on EMA's board, controlling board. So you probably you're very well aware of this already. But just in as we think about the events, and one of the commissioners mentioned it, the events of Maui and in Hawaii and what's going on there, I just want to thank all the folks at EMA for what they do continually to make sure that we plan for and are prepared for the different types of disasters, natural or man-made, that could hit our region. You can never completely prevent things, but sometimes all you can do is plan and prepare for when it does happen. And we are blessed to have the folks at EMA who continually look out for that for us. So I just wanted to thank them for their work. Those are my by-leave comments, commissioners. I do have one by-leave item on today. This is by-leave 1 in your packet. So this relates to this is P110-23, authorizing change orders between JDL Warm and Hamilton and the Board of County Commissioners for stadium parking. This relates to the hydrotherapy project down at Paycor Stadium. The board had approved a $9.7 million capital budget for Paycor Stadium in the budget. That included a $2.2 million hydrotherapy project. That project was bid out. It's been into construction over the past several months with the goal of getting it done in time for the season. The project experienced various change orders related to some unforeseen conditions beneath the floor and some scope changes during the project. So there's approximately $403,000 worth of change orders. Fortunately, the project is still within budget. It was $2.2 million in the budget passed by the board. Because of some competitive pricing we received, the project is still within budget, and we want to make sure that the project gets done in time for the season to get started, and for, as importantly, for the contractors to get paid. So bring it forward to you today with the recommendation from the administration that the board approve. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Open it up for questions. Any questions?
I have one question.
1 second.
Oh, okay. Go.
Yeah, no, I not so much a question, but a comment, because we talk quite a bit about our investment as a county into our asset, which is the stadium. And so just want to note that this is one of such item where we're investing in the asset in partnership with the Bengals. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dumas.
No question on this by leave, but another question when we finish.
Okay. I'll make a motion to pass, to approve by leave number 1.
Second.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Okay. And then also I forgot to give a shout out to, I was at the Rotary Club with Sheriff McGuffey, and they're announcing these defibrillators, and we all know what happened with Damar Hamlin, and they were thanking us and our partnership. Wanted to highlight that. Okay, we had a question, Commissioner Dumas.
Yeah, Jeff, on the RFP process, as you were explaining it, is that similar to the sports facility RFP? Because I was not in favor of that either, but that's how we did that one.
We voted. There was a vote during the budget on that item.
I'm asking Jeff.
Well, I'm just responding because that was one that I had implemented. I wanted to clarify, just like you clarified. But he could answer it, but that was something that was voted on by this board during the budget process. Go ahead, Mr.
So I would just respond by saying that we typically carry out administrative actions based upon what we discern as policy direction from the board. And sometimes we glean policy direction in different ways. Sometimes it's via direct vote. Sometimes it's based upon past practice that has continued, and where we think we are aligned with the board from a policy perspective in terms of On the RFP, it would be from the perspective of trying to look at different ways to operate facilities that are cost effective, et cetera. Sometimes we're not exactly right on that. Ultimately, the board will say, nope, you were wrong, and so we're going to vote in a different way, or we don't want that brought forward. Hopefully, we're right more often than we're wrong, but to both of your points, we discern that policy direction in a couple of different ways and carry out actions based upon that direction.
But specifically
Jeff.
on that issue, 'cause I don't want to play this little game, specifically on that issue, we had a budget process that we have, and we voted in the process, and I'll ask the clerk at some point to pull that, because I don't want anybody watching TV.
So you're talking about the sports facility?
The sports
Sorry, I thought you were
facility,
talking
there
about
was
the
a
RFP.
vote on that. The clerk can pull that number, unlike this was a different process that you took.
The sports facility was included in the budget. The facilities issue is something that we have routinely done as a matter of practice, and absent direction to the contrary, is something we would continue to do administratively under the presumption that the board policy, even if you don't necessarily approve of the final result or action, that the board still supports from a policy perspective the county advancing the action of looking at different options for facilities.
Thank you.
And so my question was about the RFP process, not specifically what the board did. I gave my opinion that I was not in favor of it. But as we.
And we'll pull the
I just
vote.
heard
I
you
think it
say
was a
about-
unanimous vote on the budget. It was inside the budget.
And so, as you were saying, shout outs, I wanted to do a shout out for Amanda, who gave an awesome video earlier, and I didn't mention her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Yes.
It's not so much that I forgot one of my items, but Morgan has entered the room. I thought you were talking about Morgan, who's interning in my office. So it's Morgan's last day. Am I right, Morgan? Yeah. So Morgan has been here. Morgan Gerlich has been my intern for a few months now. She hails from Xavier University from the PPP program, and she has been outstanding as an intern. And Morgan, I am grateful for your service. The county has benefited from your service, and we're sorry to see you go, but thanks so much for choosing to intern with Hamilton County.
Thank you, Morgan. Give her a hand. All right, getting to the regular agenda. The engineer's office. Oh, what do I have? Oh, I'm moving too quick. We have a public hearing first. Hearing to consider zone change, Hampton Inn outlot expansion from A residence to EE planned retail. Sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. John Huth with Planning and Development staff. We have a zone change in front of you. I'll be very brief. This is out in Green Township. The aerial photo shows Harrison Avenue located here. This is a new Hampton Inn hotel that's not part of this request. You can see that's already constructed. This is an outlot that's ready for future development that's also not part of this request. The zone change area is right here in red. It's fairly small. It's about 1/3 of an acre. This request would allow for this piece of land to be zoned for commercial, where currently it's zoned for residents. And on the screen here is a Baptist church. Next slide, please. Oh, thank you. Just a couple quick photos. We have the Hampton Inn and the church here. Look in the other direction. Hampton Inn's just off the screen. Here's the church. This is an outlot, again, ready for development. And then if approved, what this would allow, and again, we're just focusing on this magenta area, it would allow for an expansion of a proposed parking lot. The parking lot has not been constructed. Commercial parking is not permitted in residential areas. That's the reason for the zone change. This would allow for 25 additional parking spaces. This will be our 5th meeting regarding this proposal. We have not received any public input, no one coming out to support or to go against this request. So staff recommended approval, the Regional Planning Commission recommended approval, as well as Rural Zoning Commission. Green Township supports the project, and I'll be glad to try to answer any questions.
All right, well, thank you. I'll open it up for questions. Before I open up, you said there's a church there, a Baptist church. Have they been notified, or are they?
Yes,
okay.
It's actually their property.
It's their property, so they're fine with it. Okay. Vice President Driehaus.
Thank you. Yes, I was going to ask you the purpose for the zone change.
Yeah, the purpose would be to allow for an expanded parking lot.
Understood.
Right now,
but
there's a
for-
building pad that is ready for development, and just outside of that, they want to make that building pad larger to expand parking. I think the use will be a restaurant use, which requires more parking than a typical like commercial type of building.
I see. So there, yeah, because we've got a vacant piece of property next to this, so I was just wondering if there was some anticipated use for the vacant lot that would necessitate the parking.
Yeah, so the vacant lot actually would expand into the zone change area, and it would contain likely a restaurant and then a parking lot. So this specific little 0.3 acres would just be for a larger parking lot.
Got it. Thank you.
Awesome. Commissioner Dumas, any questions?
No questions.
Okay, anyone here to speak on it? Anyone on Zoom? No one on Zoom, no one in the place? Going once, going twice? I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
All right, now the regular agenda. Engineer.
Thank you, Commissioners. Todd Long, Chief Deputy Engineer. Item 1 is a resolution for a joint agreement with Sims Township to install preemption for signals for fire equipment on 4 specific signals located on Loveland Madeira Road, Lebanon Road, at Cottonwood Drive, at Kemper Road, and Hopewell Road. Township will be responsible for 100% of the costs for the installation, operation, repair, and future maintenance. So we're asking for your approval for item 1.
Okay, do you have the others? Go through.
I can
Go
continue.
through
I
them.
can continue
Yeah,
through
then we'll open up for questions.
Item 2 is a resolution awarding the bid for Cliff Road landslide stabilization. It's project 502105. The lowest bidder, W.E. Smith Construction. This project's located in Miami Township. The bid on June the 15th. Engineer's estimate was $759,000. It came in 14.9% under the estimate. In this case, the Ohio Public Works Commission will be supplying $237,771 toward the project, and the permissive auto funds of the engineers will be supplying the balance of $407,623.84. Item number 3 is a joint agreement with the City of Cincinnati for the rehabilitation of West Galbraith Road from Vine Street to about 150 feet west of Ridgeview Drive. This particular estimate was $161,000, exceed a total amount of $180,000 for the project. These funds will be coming out of the permissive auto funds for the county engineer's office in that amount of $180,000 not to exceed. Item number 4 is a joint resolution authorizing an agreement for professional engineering services with Arcadis Engineering for the improvement of Muchmore Road in Hamilton County. That's project 502303. This is in Columbia Township. We advertised our request for qualifications in March, the deadline of early April. This particular amount of $106,373 is also coming out of the permissive auto fund for the engineer's office. Item 5 is a resolution authorizing a joint agreement for professional engineering services with Geotechnology for the improvements on East Miami River Road in Colerain Township. This is approximately between Day Road and Dunlap Road. It's project 502305. And this particular request for qualifications was advertised in March, and again with a deadline in April. This will be coming out of the permissive auto funds for the county engineer's office in the amount of $189,350. Item 6 is a resolution setting the viewing and hearing dates for the proposed vacation of the easement right-of-way for a portion of Old Hillside Road located in Delhi Township. The vacation request was submitted last year, approximately. 2021, to the Board of County Commissioners, and it's taken a little bit of time to provide some review process from outside agencies, so that we're setting the viewing date for this particular project with this resolution for September the 6th, 2023, and the hearing date of September 14th, 2023 at 1:15 p.m. In this case, the resolution directs the petitioner to prepare and submit a survey and plat and legal descriptions for the proposed or vacated right-of-way, and it directs the engineer to make a report in writing to the board on or before the hearing date with the engineer's opinion either for or against that particular project. And our final item, item 7, is a resolution allowing project 502205, the Clough Pike landslides, to put that out to bid. That's in Anderson Township. Anticipated opening date of September the 21st. Estimated completion in March of 2024. The engineer's estimate is $1,243,000. This will be a combination of Ohio Public Works Commission funding at about 50%, for a total of $621,500, and the engineer's office permissive auto funds to remain the balance of that project. Are there any questions on those items?
I'll open up for questions. Vice President Dreehouse.
I have no questions.
Commissioner Dumas.
No questions.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve item number 1 through 7.
Second?
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Okay, now we have presentations from the administration. Mr. Ludo, you want to?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. So Megan Guthrie is here, who's going to walk us through items 8 and 9 that relate to contracts related to 2 grants that we have in our addiction response area.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Items 8 and 9 are subaward agreements with the University of Cincinnati for data collection for 2 different grants. The first is a $700,000 drug treatment and recovery court grant. It is a 4-year grant. And then the second one is for the Bureau of Justice Assistance for expansion of our deflection efforts for the quick response team. That is a 3-year, $1.6 million grant. Under both grants, University of Cincinnati will be providing the data collection, analysis, quarterly performance measures, and evaluation for those grants. Happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any, is this the only one you have?
Yep, those are my only 2.
Yeah, any questions, Vice President Tree?
No questions, but just glad to see the ongoing relationship with UC when it comes to the data collection for our efforts in addiction response.
Thank you. Commissioner Dumas.
I'm glad to see all the grants that we're able to receive for the county. Thank you.
Thank you. The data collection is critical for as we move forward, so thank you very much. I'll make a motion to approve item number 8.
Is it 8 and 9?
8 and 9, I'm sorry. 8 and 9.
A second?
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 10, I spoke to this one a little bit in my comments. I'll just tee this up briefly, and if the board has any additional questions, we have representatives from the county and from MSD here. But as the board is aware, the county is party to a federal consent decree related to the work through the Metropolitan Sewer District, and specifically the remedy of combined and sanitary sewer overflows that impact the water quality of the community. The consent decree was divided into phases. Phase 1 was complete, as were a set of bridge or interim projects. The county had submitted a Phase 2A back in 2018. The regulators have responded ultimately in early 23, asking that a subset of those Phase 2A projects be resubmitted while we plan out Phase 2B. So that work has been done. As I indicated, the county and the MSD teams have worked together to put together a subset of Phase 2A projects that would be submitted and that would be accomplished through 2024. So the plan is now prepared. It's been submitted to the board for review. It's now packaged in a way that it's ready for submittal to the federal regulators. The resolution before you today authorizes the administration to do that. We recommend approval of the resolution. Happy to answer any questions, or certainly there's technical folks from MSD who can answer specific questions on the projects if desired.
Thank you. I had a question when we met, and I haven't gotten the answer. I apologize we didn't get back together before today. In going in there, and voting for this, is there committing us to rate implications?
Yeah, so as we look at Phase 2B, we'll have to talk about long-term implications on rates. Phase 2A in and of itself should not lead to any major impacts on rates. That's not to say that there won't be rate increases, that are recommended just because of the overall course of operations, et cetera, but not directly driven from phase 2.
I just want to say, if I vote for this today, am I committing to rate increases? Because I'm not in favor of them, you know.
Not specifically related to to these projects, but I can't say.
Yeah, I just don't want to say I voted for this, so now I got to go up on the rates. Myself, I'm talking about myself, because I have more questions about going up on the rates.
Right. No,
So if I vote for this, am I tied? Is my hands tied? Come back and say that I voted to increase rates.
No, there's nothing in here specifically that relates to rates.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. I open to Vice President Driehaus.
Thank you. Glad to be here in partnership with MSD, county staff. As you say, this was brought before us a number of years ago, and we're at a place now where we have come into agreement on Phase 2A, in addition to having the agreement from the regulators, which is no small thing. So thank you for all the work that's been done on behalf of the county staff, MSD. Appreciate the collaboration. Looking forward to getting these projects moving for the community. People will benefit from this work, and so I'm happy to support this item.
Okay. Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you. I've received lots of information on this plan, so I'm ready to vote for it.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve item number 10.
Second.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Item 11.
Thank you, Commissioners. The next several items relate to community revitalization grants in our economic development area, and Holly's Assistant Administrator Chrisman's going to walk us through those.
Good afternoon.
So yes, items 11 through 13 are 3 community revitalization grant agreements, and I believe we may have some community representatives here, so I apologize, I haven't looked behind me to see if they're here. The first is a resolution entering a grant agreement with the city of Deer Park in the amount of $300,000. This grant will help them construct a music pavilion at Chamberlain Park to help increase usage and activity in the park, therefore providing more exposure and traffic to their businesses that are adjacent to the park. And just as a reminder, the board received a full staff meeting presentation on these grants as well. The next item is a joint agreement with the Village of Elmwood Place in the amount of $285,000. This will allow the village to purchase a key piece of property within and near their business district, which is the old Elmwood Place School, and will provide opportunities for future redevelopment. And the last one on the agenda for today is with the Village of St. Bernard in the amount of $339,000. This will be used to help demolish the former St. Bernard Shopping Center, which is on Vine Street, again, near the heart of their business district. So they'll demolish about 66,000 square feet to allow for the ultimate creation of additional housing and commercial development. So with that, I apologize. I'll ask if anyone is here from Deer Park, Elmwood Place, or St. Bernard, if they would like to make any comments to the board. Okay. Sorry. Thank you.
Jonathan Stuchel, I'm Mayor of St. Bernard. Thank you again for this opportunity. The Village of St. Bernard has not taken advantage of opportunities like this in the past, so we are very grateful to have been given this opportunity. Appreciate the consideration. Love the ability to partnership with the county. You know, you've been a great big brother, big sister to everyone here. But again, this project for us is a catalyst, you know, for future development. This actual area that we're going to scrape is a huge eyesore. So, you know, the sooner that it can come down, the better. While we're working through the final stages with our development partners, I do feel that this is a major hurdle for us to get over. So this will actually expedite the process so that we can move forward before the actual plans are truly finalized with the developer. So we appreciate this and couldn't be more grateful. So thank you again.
Thank you. Before he leaves, anyone have anything for St. Bernard?
Well, is he the only person to speak on behalf of the communities? Yeah. So, yes, I would love to comment. So, yeah, the purpose for the grants was to be catalytic. We put these in place a couple of years ago, knowing that communities were hamstrung in doing things, as primarily in the business districts, to promote the businesses in your community. And we wanted to provide funding to help catalyze projects that these local communities identified as important to their jurisdiction. So thank you for coming in and driving the point home. The partnership only works when you participate, as you say, and so I'm delighted to know that Elmwood Place Deer Park and St. Bernard are participating in this way. That was the whole point of the grant program. So thank you for being here. Thanks, Holly.
Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you so much. As you were saying, this is a new grant. I believe it was 21, am I okay? And we knew there was a need, as was said earlier, and so hopefully we can continue because it certainly is a new idea, a great idea, and it's really going to be helpful for a lot of communities. So thank you.
I just want to say that I'm super excited about these grants. Elmwood Place, many of these areas are represented as a state representative, and really got deep into these areas and got to see a lot of the challenges. I'm very excited that Elmwood Place is getting $285,000 for community revitalization, which really needs a lot of tender love and care in that area, and a lot of times is left behind. Deer Park had reached out, I know that my office may have reached out to others, and we had a meeting about what they were trying to do, and that park there had kind of been neglected, but it also connects other parts to Deer Park, and I'm very excited that they will now be able to have events and bringing that area together. People can come and enjoy, so we're excited. And I really want to thank Administrator Aludo, because I had sent them to him and then of course to Holly, and then you were able to tell them about this grant opportunity. And so we're excited that they're getting $300,000. And then to St. Bernard, what can I say? I'm in St. Bernard all the time. You take a lot of my money. But St. Bernard, and we've had, you've had your challenges as well in that area, in that business district. And we were just talking, I was on with Brendan Cole. We were just talking about getting our ice cream right there, Dairy Queen. I think it might be the #1 Dairy Queen. But just happy to see this revitalization, because it's important to keep St. Bernard strong. A very strong business district at one time. We need to keep it that way. So happy to do the $339,000 today. With that, I would make a motion to approve items number 11 through 13.
Second.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Thank you, Holly. Holly's always here with the good news. Next is MSD.
Good afternoon. Lauren DeGarcia on behalf of MSD. We have 4 items on your agenda today. I have with me Ryan Welsh, our chief engineer, as well as Tony Yee and Matt Spaderi, principal engineers. With item 14, this is a request to approve and fund construction of the Stonebridge Relief Sewer Project. The purpose of this project is to address capacity issues in the existing subject sewer and mitigate the frequent manhole flooding events caused by the current design of the sewer. MSD proposes to construct approximately 1,900 linear feet of 36-inch relief sewer that will intercept flow and convey it to the south, where it will discharge back into the existing sewer. We are requesting $4,949,700 in construction phase funding for this project. This project has a bit of a history. I mean, they all do, but the residents have advocated for a project to address this issue for a while now, so we are recommending approval, requesting approval, so that we can progress this project to construction. I can move on to item 15.
That's fine.
This is for the Devil's Backbone Road local sewer for house number 1234. This is an assessment project. These resolutions are to authorize and appropriate $93,900 to construct a local sewer to serve one single-family property currently served by a household sewage treatment system. And this project was initiated by a petition. Based on the estimated total project cost, the $12,000 maximum amount is anticipated to be assessed to the property after the project is completed, and MSD will fund the balance. Item 16, this is legislation to de-appropriate $17,336,409.35.
These funds were previously appropriated by the board for the purpose of planning, design, and construction of 59 different capital improvement projects. MSD has identified these funds that have been unspent, unencumbered, and have been determined at this point to be unnecessary, whether that be through cancellation of a project, completing the planning and design phase, or most commonly, just closing out the project at the completion of construction. MSD either has or will remove these funds from the Cincinnati financial system to close out or decrease the respective project budgets, and this legislation is to capture that and really formally unappropriate or delegislate, as it's commonly referred to, these funds. For item 17, this request is for an additional construction funding in the amount of $1,200,000 to add scope to the Mill Creek Loop Improvements project to replace deteriorating and damaged electrical conduit at the Mill Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant, MSD's largest treatment plant. The existing conduit between the main substation and secondary thickening has been recently inspected and determined to be in need of replacement. The additional necessary work includes installing approximately 12,000 feet of new 4-inch conduit and associated appurtenances. This additional construction funding will allow MSD to address this need in a timely and cost-efficient manner by including these improvements in the existing loop improvements project, which has a related scope. It's also electrical improvements at the same plant and is ready to proceed to construction. With that, we recommend approval. Take any questions at this time.
Vice President Driehaus.
Thank you. I don't have any questions, but I do want to clarify on item 16, because that dollar amount is so high. I want to put it in my own words to make sure I understand what we're doing. So these are projects that have been completed where some dollars went unexpended, and so those dollars have been collected into this dollar amount over a period of time, and they will go back into the general fund for other projects that have been deemed necessary through Phase 2A, which is something we just talked about, and so they'll be utilized in that way. These are just carryover dollars.
That's correct. I would say that's absolutely 100% correct for the vast majority of projects, with the only exception being, there are a few that we didn't complete construction. Maybe we canceled the project. And there are also some projects where we are delegislating funds from the planning and design phase. We haven't necessarily completed the entire project. We've completed that phase and already identified those unneeded funds.
And so what is the period of time? I know we do this every now and again. How much time has elapsed since the last time?
Since the last one, I honestly could not say. I think we're in discussions with the county administration about, shoring up a process. This has only been around since approximately 2014. So I think right now we're discussing doing this annually, but those discussions are in progress.
Okay. Yeah, I only ask because there's a certain, I have a certain expectation that if there are dollars that go unexpended, they go back in for additional projects in the future. It just seems like a regular course of business. So I'm glad you're in conversations with the administration to try to sort through.
And they would still be available. We have determined that those funds are unneeded, so they will not be spent at that point that determination is made, and we close out the project as sort of an accounting practice and zero out the project. So this really is just to legislatively capture that those funds are unspent and will not be spent on these projects.
Thank you.
And just for clarification on that part, so are they unencumbered or how do
Correct.
Okay, so they're unencumbered, and they stay where? In a pot, or that we can, does it get shifted to new things, or does it come back to us and then we
There isn't really a direct financial impact. We move funds from our surplus fund to Fund 704, which is what we fund capital projects out of, based on encumbrances, not necessarily appropriations. So this legislation is not going to result in this amount of money being moved from one account to another. It's just, like I said, a formal declaration that these projects are completed. These funds that were previously appropriated for this purpose aren't needed, and therefore are no longer appropriated for that purpose. those are available for that purpose.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Dumas.
No questions.
I move that we approve item 14 through 17.
Second.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, Mr. Ludo, now we go to our consent items.
I'll walk you through the consent agenda here. Try to go, we have a long list here, so I'll try to go as quickly as I can. Item 18 is the auditor's statement of financial transactions for July. 19 are the administrator's actions for June. Item 20 is a reapproval of an agreement that was previously passed due to a name change for TKH Security LLC. Item number 21 is a consulting agreement for our parking guidance system, which relates to the variable message sign project for $187,708. Item 22 is a budget adjustment for engineer projects. This is for Berkshire Road Bridge and East Miami River Road in the cumulative amount of $201,315. Item number 23 are bid awards and contracts executed by the purchasing department for the month of July. This is for $754,130. I just want to call attention to one particular item. The bulk of that is a $600,000 item at Job and Family Services. This is for their audio transcription services. So just wanted to let the board know that the bulk of that 754 was made up for one item. There is a then and now resolution between Hamilton County Facilities and Fujitech. This relates to the emergency repair of an elevator at 800 Broadway. We have a credit card late fee of $29. We have a Ford Edge being purchased by the Sheriff's Office for $37,907. We have two Ford Escapes being purchased by Planning and Development for building inspections for a total amount of $59,309. We have the resolution P100-23 regarding the award of ITB 66-23. This relates to the agreement with Cornerstone Detention for the Justice Center cell door lock replacement for $4.209 million. We have the resolution P101-23. This is authorizing this is a purchase, not authorizing, but this is authorizing a purchase order for carpet replacement at River City Correctional Facility. We have resolution number 30. This is the award of an agreement to Clean Harbors Environmental for $190,000. This is for household hazardous waste collection events for environmental services. Item 31 is the approval of the Hamilton County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan that's been approved by the federal government, as we discussed a little earlier. Items 32, 33, 34, and 35 relate to waste reduction grants performed through environmental services. This is Music Fund Cincinnati for $14,837. A grant to Church on Fire for $15,000. Block Ministries for $14,850. Compost Now for $11,940. These are all activities within those organizations that help reduce reliance on landfills or improve recycling efforts. Item number 36, we have a resolution approving and journalizing the collective bargaining agreement between the board and IUOE Local 20, representing the maintenance repair workers and groundskeepers in the facilities department. We have items 37 through 40, let's see, where's that? And 37 through 45, which relate to Job and Family Services. 37 is the renewal of a residential treatment contract for $160,000 with Lutheran Home Society. 38 is renewal of a foster care services agreement with Choices Inc. for $100,000. 39 is the amendment of an agreement with Bunker Hill Haven for Boys, group home services for $200,000. Item 40 is an amendment with Mayo Home for Youth Development. This is for group home services for $500,000. 41 is a renewal and amendment with Osterline Services for Youth for residential treatment services, $460,000. Item 42 is a renewal and amendment with Abraxas for residential treatment services, $775,000. We have a single source agreement with Cornerstone Youth Academy, Carrington Youth Academy for residential treatment services, $137,000. We have item 44, which is a renewal with the Community Action Cincinnati Hamilton County Community Action Agency. This is for medical training for SNAP consumers for $142,270. And we have the renewal of an agreement with Great Oaks for nurse and patient assistance training for SNAP consumers, $61,785. Item 46 is a resolution supporting a Clean Ohio Conservation Fund application from the Western Wildlife Corridor for 12 acres of nature preserve activity in the Sailor Park area. Item 47, 48, and 49 all relate to affordable housing projects. Item 47 is for $400,000 of home grant funds for 6 single-family homes in Lockland and West College Hill. 48 and 49 are using 2 separate grant years of funding to fund multifamily housing. It's one of the only multifamily projects that we have going on using home funds for 48 affordable multiple housing, multifamily units in Delhi Township. And finally, item 50 is the monthly investment report from the treasurer for July of 2023.
Thank you very much. I'll open it up for questions. Vice President Driehaus.
No questions. Did want to highlight, though, items 32 through 35, which are, as the administrator indicated, meant to divert trash from or organics or recycling from the landfill. This initiative has been going on in our solid waste policy department, and it was part of the plan, the 5-year plan that this board ratified, and as did, I think, almost every community in the county. And so these are forward-thinking projects to help others participate in trying to keep refuse out of the landfill. Kudos to Michelle Balls.
Thank you. Anything else? Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you. Just a comment. These items are just really a blueprint of what our vision is for the board. And specifically 46 through 49 is that we're moving forward in housing, and that's always good to see. That's all I have.
Okay. I have one. Item number 23, when we go into the purchase order, I had a question on the metal detectors, inspection and maintenance of metal detectors. Are these metal detectors for Acor Stadium, or are we in the metal detector business? Is that something that we are responsible for paying, or is this some other type of thing? I could give it to you. Here you go. Can you pass that? Pass that. I'll put an asterisk next to it.
It is under stadium parking, so I'm presuming that this would be metal detectors at the stadiums, and it would be part of our operations and maintenance budget, Commissioner. I can follow up on that to be certain, but I think that would be where, under stadium parking, that would be where we'd have that specific equipment.
Okay, I'm just curious. I didn't know that we are responsible for providing the metal detectors. So just was curious about it. I didn't know we did that, or if each entity had their own. So I just wanted, if you just, I don't have a problem with it. I just need to have an understanding of what we, as the taxpayers, we're responsible now for providing metal detectors, or does that come with the organizations that are occupying?
Certainly. So if we were buying new ones, it would probably be a part of our capital budget. I'm assuming this is just the operations
Okay.
that is part of our maintenance budget, but I'll follow up with specifically as to which stadium, where, that type of thing.
Okay, great. All right, well,
I wanted to make one other comment.
Yes.
Item 28, I plan on abstaining, so I know how we do them all at once. I just wanted to say that.
You would have to
but
make a
item
motion
28.
to take it out. Or how do we do it, prosecutor, Mr. Prosecutor?
If you want to do it, you can just do 18 through 27, then do 28, and then do 29 through 50. You can move in chunks,
Yeah.
essentially. So you could move to approve 18 through 27.
Okay,
Then do
so,
28 on its
yeah,
own, and then 27.
okay, I move to approve and accept for the record item 18 through 27. Vice President Dreehouse, do you have any comments?
No, but I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Did you second? Okay. Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Okay. Fine, moving forward, Vice President?
On 28?
Yeah, okay. And then item 28. Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse? Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Abstain.
Now we're gonna go items 29 through 50. I make a motion to approve and accept for the record.
Second.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Okay, and then I have before we go into executive session, I'd like to ask the clerk to provide, this was resolution number 38, that it was approved on 12/15/2022, our budget resolution, and it had establishing a 1.21 billion in appropriations to defray public expenses for the county of Hamilton, Ohio for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2023. On there, it has all of the items that we had approved for the budget, and in there, it has the feasibility study for the youth sports complex in Hamilton County, and it was, I was not the president then, but it was motioned and approved by all three commissioners. So I asked the clerk to provide a copy of this, because I wanted to make sure we have some clarity. I don't want people looking and saying that we had an RFP without a vote of the commission, but it was unanimous, and it's on the front page of the resolution number 38, budget, and the date is 12/15/2022. I make a motion.
I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
Yeah. I'd like to make a comment because I brought up about the sports facility as it relates to when I vote on something. And you can certainly take it, not you, you can certainly take it to the bank when I vote. And unless it's against my values, unless I'm adamantly opposed to something, I'm open to any ideas, and I try to be a team player. So the sports facility didn't qualify for any of those items. So because of that, I voted unanimously to take a look at the sports facility. So I wanted to make that clear. And that's how I'll do for all my votes.
Thank you. I just, again, the resolution was passed on 12/15/2022, and unanimously is item number 4 on the front page. Everyone can get a copy, so I wanted to make sure people were watching because they may not have a copy. Executive session, I make a motion to go in executive session pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G4, to discuss collective bargaining.
Second.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Dreehouse? Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.